I was born to rule the Seven Kingdoms, and I will.
Thursday will be ready.
Hey YouTubers, new Game of Thrones coming tonight, so we need to talk about Jon Snow and dragons. We've been saying winter is coming for so many seasons, now we should really say fan service is coming. Jon Snow, Daenerys meeting tonight for the first time. Jon Snow doesn't have Ghost with him, which is a whole other thing. I'll link that video at the end of this. But as we know that Jon Snow is a Dragonstone, regardless of what your interpretation of the prophecy of the prince who was promised was, he's critical to it. The new idea is that people shouldn't be quite as specific with it as they have been in the past. Like the prince who was promised is no one person. There are promised people, and there's the three heads of the dragon, which is also part of the prince who was promised. So when people first read that in the books, they thought that meant there were three promised dragon riders. There are a number of hopefuls in the books, and as the TV show has slowly changed things from that, and now we have Melisandre saying, prophecy is a tricky thing. Maybe we should be careful about how we interpret that. The idea that everybody has interpreted every vision, everything wrong on the TV show. Even Bran hasn't got everything 100%. But there's this theory that Jon Snow being half Targaryen, being part of this huge prophecy, being so critical to the story, is one of the dragon riders. Which dragon should he ride, and how long before the show pays that off? It's only just revealed Jon Snow's true heritage, and it hasn't even officially on screen confirmed that he's half Targaryen, even though if you've read the books, you've read between the lines, all the clues that the show's given you about Rhaegar Targaryen, Lyanna Stark, you know that his father is Rhaegar. So there's this big thing going on in the TV show where they're trying to pay off all these loose threads that they set up. There are a lot of people that think that's even the only reason that they're bringing Gendry back. It's just so that they don't leave that plot thread hanging and he won't have some larger role to play. But when you talk about Jon Snow riding dragons, you have to take into consideration how the Valyrians bonded with their dragons, how they tamed them, so to speak. It's not quite the same thing as taming animals. And then there's the consequences of Jon Snow riding a dragon. I don't think there's any way that he rides a dragon this season. I do feel like if they're going to pay that off, it won't be till season 8. Because think about the way the Lords of the North reacted to Jon Snow when he merely suggested the idea of them meeting with Daenerys. A Targaryen cannot be trusted, which is a bit of an eye wink to the fact that Jon Snow is also part Targaryen. Which means that Littlefinger is probably doing the calculus right now. Even if he's not 100% sure that Jon Snow is the son of Rhaegar Targaryen, he probably has his suspicions. So this season seems like it's more about bringing Jon Snow to dragons and then leaving what happens next for season 8. Hopefully we can all be in agreement that if Jon Snow is going to ride a dragon, the dragon he should ride should be the one that's named for his father, Rhaegal. So hopefully Rhaegal will survive to season 8 and they can pay that off. But typically in the past, the way the Targaryens pass dragons down, because they live much longer than humans do, is that classically they'll start the bonding process between person and dragon when the dragon is still in the egg unhatched. So they'll put dragon eggs in children's beds hoping to form a bond between them. Then you have situations like Balerion the Black Dread, a dragon who was hatched in ancient Valyria before the Doom. He was taken to Dragonstone when the Targaryens escaped with their family. Most of the stories you hear about him are from Aegon's conquest, him riding around the Seven Kingdoms lighting everybody on fire. By the time of the conquest, Balerion was over 100 years old, meaning that he had multiple riders, and for the most part, people just assumed that as long as you're Targaryen, you can ride your ancestors' dragon. So if Aegon the Conqueror had children, they'd be able to ride Balerion, just like Balerion's former rider passed him down to Aegon the Conqueror. But it's actually not quite so simple. There's a little bit of a clarification during the Princess and the Queen story, whereby you find out that even if you're the child or you're part of the bloodline of a dragon rider, you can't just automatically hop that dragon and everything will be fine. You have to bond with it the same way that someone like Jon Snow bonds with Ghost. It sounds kind of magical and supernatural, but it's actually much more practical. Like it happens in real life all the time. Like people bond with horses. You have to get a horse to trust you before it'll let you ride it. Dragons are just the uber version of that, so just because you can ride a horse doesn't mean that your child could come along and just hop on the horse. There's even a special passage in the Princess and the Queen story where it implies that someone who was not a Targaryen was able to tame a dragon called Sheepstealer. So it reads, "In the end, the brown dragon was brought to heel by the cunning and persistence of a small brown girl, it doesn't really give her name, of 6 and 10 named Nettie, who delivered him a freshly slaughtered sheep every morning until Sheepstealer learned to accept and expect her. She was black-haired, brown-eyed, brown-skinned, skinny, foul-mouthed, filthy, and fearless, and the first and last dragon rider of the dragon Sheepstealer. So it just implies that you can win dragons over given enough time and persistence. You get them to trust you, they'll let you ride them. And just because you're a Targaryen doesn't mean they will automatically trust you. I really love the way it talks about the qualities of that girl. The implication being that as long as Jon Snow shows no fear and gets one of the dragons to trust him somehow, he will be able to ride it whether or not he wants to or whether or not the realm will riot if he does. So hopefully that explains a little bit about how the show is treating the Three Heads of the Dragon prophecy, how Jon Snow being part Targaryen makes it much more likely that he's able to ride a dragon, but also how that doesn't necessarily matter 100%. There are other ways to ride dragons. Like, it would probably take many, many months to win a dragon over just bringing it dead sheep every single day. But you could imagine Drogon would probably like someone more if they brought him a fresh sheep every single day. But also, just to address Tyrion Dragon Rider, I know a lot of people are thinking Tyrion may be part Targaryen. Maybe there are some clues in what happened during Season 6. Yes, I do think that Tyrion should ride a dragon. I do think that they trust him, so I do think that if he tried, he'd be able to do it. Whether or not the show ever tries to pay that off, it seems like this season is more about Jon Snow coming to Daenerys, so it's choosing more to focus on Jon Snow in this grand prophecy sense. But it does feel like they're going to wait till Season 8 to pay a lot of these big things off, because he's only meeting Daenerys for the first time this season. So let me know in the comments, who is going to be the first person to ride a dragon besides Daenerys? Do you think they'll pay that Jon Snow twist off in Season 8? And which dragon do you want to see him ride? But what'll happen tonight is I'll post my episode 3 video after it airs, and then I'll post my Rick and Morty episode 2 video early Monday morning. Then I'll post that Game of Thrones episode 4 trailer video. So Rick and Morty is back if you guys didn't know. It's going to be on at 11:30 p.m. tonight after Game of Thrones, so I recommend you check it out if you've never seen it before. It's on Adult Swim. Congratulations to the latest giveaway winner, Lewis. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. While you wait for everything, click here for the trailer for tonight's episode, and you can click here for brand new Rick and Morty. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.